The request of the Indian fans has finally been granted as Caitlin Clark has changed her plans for the European League, returned to America, and decided to play in the WNBA once more. However, it should be noted that the WNBA has a toxic culture and has been a hot mess with Caitlin throughout the season, while Europe was essentially giving her the royal treatment, ready to put a crown on her head and make her the highest-paid female in the league.
The sounds of this interview, it seems like she's probably going to make more money overseas in EuroLeague than she did during this WNBA season.
But the WNBA Commissioner Cathy Engelbert realized the mistake and apologized from Caitlin, personally condemning the racism and how they're going to fix things, because let's be real, the WNBA has struggled without Caitlin Clark, and now they cannot afford to lose her for forever. So what's the WNBA cooking up now? Are they actually going to stick to their promises? And how exactly did they convince her to stay after all that drama? Apology is warranted to Caitlin Clark, or they just need to now wins. The last time you heard of a sports commissioner getting all vulnerable and apologizing to a player? Yeah, never. And let's be real, Caitlin was about to peace out, take the bag, and become the international face of basketball. So for the commissioner to go fully failed you mode, that's next level desperation. This wasn't just some PR move they cooked up in a boardroom. No, this was personal. The commissioner came forward, admitted that the WNBA had let Caitlin down in a huge way, like letting dirty politics and straight-up racist behavior slide on, and off the court the league turning a blind eye. Yeah, that was why Caitlin had one foot out the door, passport in hand.
She is warranted to Caitlin Clark, or they just need to.
The WNBA isn't exactly known for handling their drama, so when they finally admit that they failed Caitlin, it's not just surprising, it's full-on wild. It's as if they finally realized that they didn't just lose a player, they lost the player. Caitlin wasn't just their star, she was the reason people even tuned in, and without her, ticket sales tanked, viewership nosedived, and the entire league was on the verge of flatlining. The WNBA didn't just mess up, they were staring at their own downfall, and Caitlin was the key to keeping the ship afloat.
Then, Cathy Engelbert took to social media late last night, clarifying, in part, she said, quote, "There is absolutely no place for hate or racism of any kind in the WNBA or anywhere else."
By declining that lovely European gig, she's saying, yeah, you messed up, but now you're going to fix it. This isn't just about her either. She's making the entire league take a serious look in the mirror and begin addressing the issues they've been ignoring. Her apology wasn't merely for show. It was a wake-up call to the WNBA and the fans, who are promising that things will change and that Caitlin is leading the charge, saying she will now try to adjust after the WNBA's previous behavior. If the WNBA doesn't correct their act, they'll lose much more than just Caitlin the next time.
The WNBA has been a mess this year. It has been so unprofessional, and they need to step it up, and they need to step it up quick.
Now that Caitlin is back, but on her terms, the WNBA understands that they cannot afford to make a mistake once more. With Caitlin's return, they had the opportunity to completely change their narrative rather than just have their star back. This isn't just about basketball anymore. It's about mending what's broken, and Caitlin is in control of everything. It's a power transfer unlike anything we've ever seen, and it will be the tale that people talk about for years to come.
I think it'll definitely be a little bit of an adjustment period for myself, not really.
It turned out that Caitlin had been dealing with a variety of trash on and off the court, and who are the main characters in this horror show? The inquiry into the league's internal problems revealed more than just a few rotten apples. Oh no, this was a full-blown scandal. Naturally, you had to know that Angel Reese and Alyssa Thomas's names would be mentioned. These two had reportedly been offering much more than just harsh criticism, racist remarks, bullying, and everything else, and the league decided to overlook it since. Hey, Caitlin versus Angel was good for ratings, but spoiler alert, it wasn't.
I'm telling you right now, if the WNBA can get away with this, what's gonna happen next is one of the biggest robberies.
Caitlin had been quietly putting up with this nonsense for months in the hopes that someone would step in, but the WNBA pretty much turned a blind eye, acting as though it was just a friendly rivalry. However, when Caitlin finally had enough and said, "I'm out of here," the league realized they had just made the biggest mistake of their lives, because Caitlin wasn't just a superstar. She was the superstar, and when she left, the money went with her ticket sales, viewership crashed, sponsors, and let's not even begin. What did the WNBA do? They went from "everything is fine" to "we're so sorry, Caitlin. please come back. In record time, the commissioner, Kathy Engelbert, had to step in and apologize publicly. Yes, they went from downplaying things to completely groveling in front of Caitlyn and the fans, which isn't something the WNBA does, believe me. This was unheard of, and it was an obvious indication that the league was in dire straits and knew they were in danger.
Try to implant racism and imply that everyone is racist because they don't agree with them. And they try to put that into everything that they're doing, by then responding and saying, if you don't agree with me, you're racist.
Caitlyn wasn't waiting for an apology during all of this chaos, though. Instead, Europe approached her with a deal that would have made her the highest-paid female player in history. We're talking about over $10 million annually, folks. That's life-altering money that the WNBA couldn't touch wrong in a move no one saw coming. In some ways, the WNBA outbid Europe. Yes, you did read correctly. The league, which is infamous for paying shamefully low salaries, discovered a huge sum of money to throw to Caitlyn out of the blue. They felt they had no other option since without her, the league would have collapsed. In addition to being the WNBA spokesperson, Caitlyn is the league's lifeline, and they cannot afford to make a mistake again. The league's whole future rests on Caitlyn's shoulders now that she is back on her terms, and you can be sure they are aware of this. The WNBA will lose much more than only Caitlyn the next time if they don't improve their performance now.
Really felt like was a missed opportunity from Kathy Engelbert to really address and say we don't support this sort of behavior in our league. And Breanna Stewart was another player who, after her game yesterday, came out and really echoed those sentiments and said that as much as the players love this sort of influx of fans that have come from this rivalry, at a certain point, enough is enough, and that's what they really hope.
When Caitlyn Clark leaves the WNBA, the league as a whole begins to collapse more quickly than a malfunctioning elevator. I'm not even kidding. The ticket sales figures are appalling. Viewership for Crash and Burn was cut in half during Caitlyn's rookie season in 2024. She wasn't just playing basketball, she was essentially running the entire operation. Yes, that wasn't just impressive, it was historic. She single-handedly propelled the WNBA to heights they hadn't even imagined in decades, with an average of absurd 1.8 million viewers. Let me add that 1.8 million viewers. The WNBA hadn't seen numbers like that since they invented the 3-0 line that's since.
And the Fever are going to be over 200,000 higher than the next highest total attendance in league history. Clarkonomics, my friend, Clarkonomics.
The situation was completely different when Caitlyn was on the court. The Fever's games became the most popular tickets in town, and we're not just talking about packing the stands with people. Her jersey sales were over the roof. If you wanted to see her perform, good luck obtaining a seat. Every game was sold out. The WNBA was essentially making money because to Caitlyn Clark, but as soon as she left, everything stopped selling items. The arenas that had been packed with yelling fans started to seem like ghost towns, and nobody was rushing to get tickets because...
Since the start of the regular season, sales of WNBA merchandise are up over 500% versus the same period last year, with fan gear sales over the first half of the season at the highest in league history. Player-specific merchandise, including jerseys and t-shirts, have seen a staggering 1,000% increase in sales. Additionally, sales of league-specific merchandise like the popular orange WNBA hoodie are also up 200%. The top-selling WNBA player merch, Caitlyn Clark, #1 in jersey sales.
Then, as soon as she even suggested that she could be departing, it was as if someone pressed the emergency stop button on the hype train, causing it to spectacularly collapse. Fans left the league more quickly than people leaving a bad movie. Let's discuss the details. The Fever's 2024 playoff opener attracted 2.5 million viewers, which was essentially unprecedented for the WNBA. After Caitlyn's exit, the following round of games barely made half of that total, and even the semifinals, which are meant to be the games that draw everyone in, saw a sharp decline in viewership from 1.8 million to just 64,000. It seemed as though everyone said, "Yeah, no thanks, we're good," the moment Caitlyn wasn't playing.
Since Caitlyn Clark was eliminated from the playoffs, WNBA ratings have declined 50%. They have lost half of their audience in less than a week. and it's only going to get worse from here.
It should come as no surprise that the WNBA was prepared to go to any lengths to win Caitlyn back after witnessing their fan base and bank accounts vanish along with her. The league suffered a severe financial and cultural blow, and their apology wasn't just about making amends for Caitlyn. It was also about keeping the league as a whole from collapsing because they knew they needed her and couldn't function without her. The commissioner had the defibrillator in hand in an attempt to shock the WNBA back into relevancy because the league was not just in crisis, but also on life support.